This is the best revision anyone has ever created. The Steam Deck OLED is here and it is beautiful. It absolutely is beautiful. I'm a huge fan of the original Steam Deck. And I only got the LCD version at the beginning of this year, and literally as soon as I opened the case and booted it up, I was like, this is incredible. But I turned to Christina and I said, if they release an OLED, I'm buying it day one. What Valve have done here is something magical for us, essentially. This isn't just like a money-making move. This is pretty much taking everything the community has said and complained about and wanted, and then putting it in for the same price. And if anything, you're actually getting more for your money now than you were with the LCD version. Now, I'm not gonna go over all the specs and everything because you probably already know that by now, but for those that don't know, this isn't just an OLED screen. Yes, it is an OLED screen. It's 0.4 inches bigger, so the bezels are smaller. It's got newer stick, like toppers essentially. We've got this nice muted colorway now on the buttons everywhere. Instead of it being bright white, they're more like gray. And this actually is a big deal when you're playing games because it helps you focus on the screen rather than having like glaring white in the corners, sort of distracting your eyes. I find this really helpful. Like, it really helps me, the fact that they've dimmed the colors. It's really strange. But on top of that, there's a new APU. There's 25% larger battery, which actually equates to almost 50% better battery life. We've got new speakers, new haptics, we've got new triggers and bumpers. We've now got a new like LED, which is actually RGB instead of just white. We've got a new color button to basically indicate what version you've got, whether you've got an OLED or an LCD. It's got faster RAM, it's got bigger storage for the price essentially, and yeah, there's just so much going on here. There really is. I want to focus on my use and the past few days that I've spent with this, I nearly said Switch, the Steam Deck OLED. And what you'll probably notice is I've got the anti-glare screen, the etched glass, but I don't. This is actually the 512GB model. So the 512GB model doesn't come with the etched glass. It actually has the gloss screen, and it's the 1TB and the 1TB limited edition or special edition, whatever it's called, that comes with the anti-glare. Now for me, I wanted to test it out because everyone's been saying gloss is better, and yes, I do agree, but everyone was really hitting on that etched screen. So I'm going to do a test, which I've already begun doing, and I filmed for a separate video, which is going to put the glossy screen up against the etched glass screen, but using a screen protector. And I really think this is the best way because you can just upgrade it yourself with a screen protector, and if you don't like it, you can remove it. But if you want to see all my findings, make sure you're subscribed, and that video will go up very, very soon. But there was a reason I chose the 512GB, not just for the screen, but it was also because I'm going to install a 2TB NVMe SSD. It kind of didn't make any sense for me to pay the top price when I'm just going to swap out the drive anyway, and I've got that option of having a glossy screen if I want it. But enough rabbiting, this thing is beautiful. Immediately, my first impressions are, oh wow, like it's lighter. I know it's like 30 grams lighter. That's another benefit of the OLED, but it is noticeable. It makes it a lot less strainy on your hands when you're gaming, but that screen is the first thing you notice, and by freaking wow, this thing is beautiful. Like, it is just stunning. It really, really is. I absolutely love this screen. And whether you've got the etched glass or the gloss glass, it really doesn't matter. The blacks are super deep, and every benefit of having an OLED screen just jumps right out at you. And this screen isn't just OLED, it's now a 90 Hz refresh rate as well as HDR. And the thing with 90 Hz refresh rate, as Digital Foundry have like clarified with really in-depth testing, it's faster at inputting your actions from the time you press the button for the game to register it and then do the action for you because of that screen. Even if you're not using 90 FPS, let's say, if you're at 30 FPS, well, 369, you know, that refresh rate benefit from having a 90 Hz panel still applies, and it is massively reduced in terms of latency in the input response. And I notice it. I really, really do, because I'm really critical of input response because I mainly review controllers on this channel. And I had such a bad experience with the Xbox Series S with my wrong TV settings before. I'm really hyper like critical of input rate. And this is like, oh, it is so good. And now there is a small bonus to performance. Now they say that there isn't, but other people have tested it and shown that you can have between a 2 and 8% performance increase, which to be honest sounds like nothing, but just a few FPS can make a game playable. Like playing a game at 25 to 27 FPS to now potentially play at 30 is actually playable. I'm one for quite often on the LCD deck limiting the deck to 30 FPS just to gain extra battery life, and now we don't really need to do that. But if you do that on this, you're going to get insane battery life because you're getting, like I said, up to 50% extra battery life, and I've noticed that as well. So the battery life improvement is huge because I was playing Dead Cells and getting something like 6 hours battery life at 90 FPS. Insane. It was so good. Like really is. And that input like response is so much better. But of course, having OLED, deeper blacks, better saturation, and then HDR on top of that with the brightness of up to 1,000 nits. Like that's insane. The LCD deck had 500 nits. This now goes up to 1,000 in HDR mode. Or if you're not in HDR mode, you still get up to, I think, 600 nits peak brightness as opposed to the 500 on the LCD. This thing is so bright, and it also gets a lot dimmer as well. So I've only really had a couple of days actually playing this, but I've just jumped through some games that I really wanted to play, and it is phenomenal. Like I said, I played Dead Cells for a good few hours, and that was my first experience of Dead Cells. Such a good game. Dead Cells looks amazing. Again, at 90 FPS, oh, phenomenal. It really, really is. I jumped into Resident Evil 4 Remake and, you know, getting around that 35 to 40 FPS with some good settings going on to make it look visually appealing. And again, HDR mode on. Oh, amazing. Absolutely amazing quality. Then I've been playing Diablo 4 as well because, you know, I had to play that because I'm a big Diablo fan. And that looks stunning on this screen. It really, really does. And then I've been playing Star Wars Squadrons as well, and I've only just really started it this morning. But that, again, ridiculous. Playing at like medium settings and getting 90 FPS, and it looks so good. Now, obviously, you could drop this right down, and again, to conserve battery, you can really drop it down and limit your TDP. But I've just been experiencing this in full glory. But there was one game that I was enjoying so much that I had to sort of mess around with the TDP and the FPS just to get more battery life out of it. And that was Lost Planet. Now, this is a Capcom game from like the 2000s that I played all the way back when, and I used to love that game. And it actually says it's unsupported on the Steam Deck. When you go into the store, it says unsupported, doesn't work, right? Or they don't know. And I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna download it and try it. Hit go, it all works perfectly. It registers that you're using an Xbox controller, it brings up an Xbox 360 controller in the settings. Nothing needs to change. I did remap some buttons to the back paddles because, you know, I preferred that. But this game, again, you can run at 90 FPS, all maxed out settings, and it just looks beautiful. But I did opt to go down to 45 FPS and then cap the TDP at I think about 7 or 8 watts just to get like double the battery life, which is insane. And oh man, the nostalgia. That's what I love about the Steam Deck is, yes, you can play AAA games and it is phenomenal because you can do it. Yeah, okay, you're not going to play it at 60 FPS 4K, are you? No. But, you know, 30 FPS to me is absolutely fine on a handheld. We're in like the modern era of gaming where you're playing console games on a freaking handheld, and this thing is an affordable handheld, unlike, you know, messing around with the Windows-based ones and all that rubbish. Nah, AAA gaming is definitely possible in this if you're ready to make some compromises. But for me, where it shines is playing some of the Steam games I've had for 15 plus years. I think I've had my Steam account for 16 years now, and there's so many epic games on the store that I've got linked to my account already, and that again for me is amazing. I can buy the deck and I've got nearly 300 games already. I don't even need to buy any, but you know, Steam sales, you always end up buying some and never playing them, right? But yeah, revisiting those old games like Fable or Psychonauts or Lost Planet, like anything like that is amazing. But like I said, running Star Wars Squadron, which is a game of what, like a 1 or 2 year old game, and it's running 90 FPS at medium settings, amazing. Now again, they have made some changes physically, right? So The joysticks are slightly different. They're still not Hall effect, but they've changed like the dome and everything. It's got better touch screen capabilities as well. It's got better haptics. The bumpers feel so much nicer. They actually actuate all the way around consistently, and I noticed that immediately that is quite a big thing for me because I test a lot of controllers and stuff. The face buttons are better. They're a bit firmer, they're a bit more reactive, less travel, less pre-travel and post-travel essentially. They just feel firmer and nicer. Again, huge fan of everything being muted because it completely keeps your eyes on this gorgeous screen. And yeah, I think that is actually a benefit, even though it is such a minor tweak. The other thing is they're not like decals or decals, whatever you call it. They're actually like printed onto the plastic now, which is much nicer. It just feels that little bit more premium. The speakers are definitely nicer, and I swear the D-pad has been improved. I'm pretty sure they haven't said that it has, but mine definitely feels nicer than it did previously. And this having Wi-Fi 6E means the download rate, like speeds, are so much faster. Then I'm really hoping that it means that the stability of streaming games, because I've put Game Pass on here, and I was playing Forza Motorsport, the new one, basically, on this via the cloud gaming. Amazing. It was so good. It really is. So I really think streaming capabilities of this are now going to be so much better than they were previously. And I'm really hyped because I can run a game heavy lifting on my computer and then stream it to this as well. So you can do that like remote play from Steam, and I can't wait to do that. So I just love that Valve could have gone, okay, here's an OLED screen, not changed anything, and then created a new higher price tier. And they didn't. They essentially went, let's put an OLED screen in it. And then they realized, okay, it's a thinner panel. Now we can change the thermals. Now we can change everything about it internally. We can add a completely new design inside. We can put Wi-Fi 6E in there, better Bluetooth support. We can change the RAM. We can do all this stuff, change the triggers, do all this amazing stuff. And they've really gone above and beyond. And then what they did was released it at the current price point with bigger freaking SSDs in them. So now what used to be the 256 LCD price is now the 512 OLED price. It's just ridiculous. And before, you'd be paying top end for a 512 gig. Now you're paying the same price for a 1 terabyte OLED model. It is just ridiculous how they've managed to do that. And I commend Valve for what they are pushing, and the Steam Deck 2 is going to be phenomenal. Now the screen itself just absolutely shines through. That previous Steam Deck, my biggest issue coming as a Switch OLED player for handheld, right? I went to the Steam Deck, and whilst everything blew me out of the water, that freaking LCD screen, man, sucked. Like the LCD backlight bleed was horrendous. It was disgusting. Like it literally was. I'd play the Steam Deck and be like, this is amazing. Pick up my Switch OLED and be like, oh my God, the Steam Deck just looks so rubbish. And I swear having that OLED screen makes it look crisper and almost like they've increased the resolution, even though they haven't. Faster refresh rate, deeper blacks, better saturation, HDR. It just really makes the whole thing feel the next step up. Now, if you've got an LCD model, should you upgrade? Well, you know, it's down to you. If you've got the money to upgrade, then yeah, do it. You know, sell your LCD, buy the OLED, because it is that next jump up. It really is good. If you don't have the money and you don't really care, then don't. You know, like if you can't afford it, the previous Steam Deck is still phenomenal. It's amazing. You're not missing out like horrendously, you know, but you are missing out. I can't deny that. Like you are missing out, but if you can deal with it, well, then that's fine. But what I had to do, because I couldn't just go out and buy one myself, I actually sold my LCD model literally the day after they announced the OLED. I literally took it to a pawn shop and got more money than I would have got selling it on eBay or anything like that. So I got a really good deal, and that led me to then order the 512 OLED here. I'm gonna upgrade this with a 2 terabyte drive very soon. It is currently somewhere in the planet trying to come to me. I do have the video where I'm going to compare the glossy screen versus the etched screen protector by JSOX. Make sure you subscribe if you want to see that video. And we've got a case video as well for the 512 gigabyte, really, because you know the 1 terabyte models have this new fandangle case, whereas the 512 model just has the standard case. And there is a slimmer case that I'm going to recommend. So make sure you subscribe. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, subscribe, like, let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments. Let me know if you're getting one, if you've got one, if you're sticking with the LCD, or if you use something else. Let me know. And check out the podcast where me and AJ talk about everything gaming, and then check out another video from me down here. Bye.